Welcome to Passioneer Magazine, the podcast, where you'll hear inspirational stories, encouraging news, and in-depth interviews with authors, influencers, CEOs, and thought leaders. Passioneer Magazine, the podcast. Bold ideas, brave pursuits, boundless inspiration. Hello, and welcome to Passioneer Magazine, the podcast. Suzanne, I am so excited to have you here on the show.
I'm excited to be here today and share about what we have going on at the CGC.
Yes, ma'am. Now, there are so many questions that I can ask you, but at the same time, I want to be respectful of your time. But before we get started, just in case I am introducing you to some new listeners or some new viewers out there, tell us just a little bit about yourself. What makes you you?
So I'm Suzanne Horton. I am a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Washington and also in Idaho doing virtual services. And through life, right? Like life gives us something to do. God gives us something to do with life. And through that purpose, over the past year and a half, I've been building something called the CGC, the Caregivers Grief Commission. And it is the thing that is at my heart because I have a real passion for family caregivers to make sure that they have the resources and the supports that they need to do this journey from the first yes all the way to what's next.
Oh, I like that. I find that when the leader, the founder, is mindful in all aspects, it is one of the best programs that you can be a part of because they think about it so meticulously that this is something we need to think of. This is something that we need to address. And let's not forget this part as well. I hear that from so many people that I just have conversation with that, boy, did they wish that the program also addressed this other part of whatever their situation was. So I love that you're mindful of that. Now, speaking of that, the commission was born from some lived experiences. And isn't that true for so many of us, right? We've
Yes.
gone through something negative or anything in between. And it's like, you know what? I think I need to address this. I need to get some more education. At what point did you find that not only was it personal, but it was time to make this a part of your business lane as well?
Um, to be honest, it started the week after my dad died, right? Like in my own healing journey, I started journaling. And that journaling became something that I could offer to other people to support them through their process. It became a journal to offer to other caregivers. And God kind of spoke to me about really stepping out of the role of caregiver and looking at the experience of what happened and what the needs were there. And he kind of gave me a model for the process of what grief looks like for the caregiver during this process, because most people start thinking about grief when their person dies. And the truth was, resources were not offered until my dad died. All of a sudden I was getting the bereavement services and the like all the extra things. And I really needed something when this started. And I said, wait a minute, why isn't there something for when this starts? For me, not just for the person that I'm caring for. Because if I'm the one that's there 24 hours a day meeting the needs and taking on that responsibility, I think we have to figure out how to then get something to you so that you can stay in the game, because it's hard. And figuring out from moment to moment, we got to be able to fill our own cups in order to stay in the game when caregiving roles last so long.
Absolutely. And as you were saying that, it really made me think of the majority of people that are now in a caregiving role, they haven't taken a nursing class. If they've taken a first aid or
Yep.
even CPR class, nonetheless, do they have any education other than perhaps maybe a leaflet, a flyer, a pamphlet, a video that they watch that their doctor may have suggested that they view? So you're so right. There needs to be that extra there. Now, most people, I think you can agree, tend to experience their grief privately. I love that you, on the other hand, speak about it very publicly. You talk about leadership, you talk about the tensions, the expectations, the disappointments, the highs, the lows, and everything in between, as well as the responsibilities and how people deal with that. How does that experience, how has that helped you with addressing the questions that people have and reassuring them that they too can do it?
I think it's important for us to acknowledge the truth of what it looks like every day, because I know that I didn't see no, I wasn't walking around smiling on a regular basis. And every time I see some pamphlet or some offering, they got people, they got caregivers, family with their loved ones smiling, and they're all so happy and joyous. And that ain't the truth of what every day looks like. And if somebody's not willing to begin to acknowledge what it is, then other people are going to continue to keep it in private, right? Like we believe that we're supposed to do this thing by ourselves. And that is not the truth. That is not how God designed us to go through grief. He meant for us to come together
Yeah.
and mourn openly in community so that we could express the emotions that are popping up, the millions of emotions that are popping up through this process. Because when we don't express it, then it builds up
Mhm.
and becomes more of a problem. And so being able to speak up about the truth of everyday experiences, I think helps people to say, oh, I can do that too. I can acknowledge that this is hard. I can acknowledge that I feel like, man, what about my future? Like the different things that begin to pop up through this process.
Mhm. As you were saying that, talking about the pamphlet, the information, the literature that you receive, I'm a breast cancer survivor, and you're right. Even on that, the woman, the woman looks a little bit sweet on the, and that is very true because you look at it and you go kind of, your subconscious mind understands that her expression is not what you are feeling at that time. Like, why are you pleased? And it's not, I understand from a marketing point of view that they don't want to show you the grim side of it all. But I love that you are talking about the fact that it is not all sunshine, smiles, kicks, and giggles. That there will be some sunshine, there will be some smiles, but there are also some tears, some hard times, some I don't know if I'm doing this right moments. So absolutely, absolutely. Now speaking of that, um, when anyone creates a system or a program in which they are showing others, teaching others, consulting with others, you have to look at what is needed. Where did you see one of the highest gaps or topics that needed to be addressed? I'm sure there was more than one, as it is in any industry, but how did you determine which pieces of the puzzle you would address in your business?
I think for me it became the recognition that I was always feeling like I was on E. Like I was empty all the time. And so capacity is a really important piece of being able to do a journey that on average lasts 4 to 8 years.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do this every day and manage my regular business and build it and do regular life, if I am also a parent or have a spouse or like do all the things, then I have to learn how to rest in order to reset, in order to be present to do just this one task and then move into the next task. So when we come across the big picture, it's important for us to recognize I need to fill my cup. If I don't fill my cup, I can't do the next thing. And I can't be present for you. I'm not going to do what I'm doing with you well. I'm be mad about what I'm trying to do with you, or like right, like that's all the things like you sitting. We're in a rush to get somewhere, and you sitting there looking at the flow. I need you to put your socks on, right? And so while I'm like, this is so important. We're late. All these things in my brain, right? Like so, learning how to build our capacity and that resilience that goes into the responsibility that feels so urgent and so big all of the time.
Mhm, mhm. Oh my goodness, I can just feel someone nodding their head, going, "Oh my goodness, you hit the nail on the head. If you don't hurry up or come on or sit down or stand up or talk or don't talk, whatever their thing is." But all of that you have to deal with. And then you added the layer of, and don't forget the other labels that we have,
Yeah.
right? The spouse, the sister, sibling, the job that you do. Are you on call or work weekends? All of those things. I don't think that the average person thinks about the full gambit of roles that the label of caregiver
Yeah.
actually encompasses, right? They think of it as just, well, you're just helping your loved one. You're just helping them. Like how bad could it be? You're already a daughter. You know what it's like to make a sandwich or to make something to eat. Like that's all you're doing. But it is much much more than that. And I love that you're bringing that to the forefront. Speaking of being a daughter, your father's legacy of service deeply informs your leadership. It helps you to be the woman that you are today. I want to salute you. I know that being in a civic minded family as well, it was, we've been blessed with a lot. We are going to continue to give a lot. We are not going to allow this lifetime to pass us by just sitting back. We need to be involved. So kudos to you for picking up the mantle of legacy and continuing to lead with it. How do you transfer those personal values that your father gave to you into the operational decisions that you make or to the entrepreneurial decisions that you have to make?
I think it's interesting because I watched my dad in service my whole life. And so he had businesses. I watched him do business, but I didn't really understand all the pieces that went into business, right? And so then when you become a business owner, I kind of shifted into that responsibility or taking that on because I needed the flexibility to be present for him. So changing that in order to be available. And so I was learning lots of new things in different areas of my life all at the same time. And so taking what he taught me is really important for me to make sure that I'm leading with integrity in every decision and that the vision that I have is aligned with what the vision God gave me to do is. Because whenever I step off that line, is when things go awry, right? Like so it is like that what he instilled in me is the responsibility to be paying attention and to notice and have that discernment in terms of opportunities and different choices that need to be made to manage the overall business. And there are some things that I learned by watching him doing it wrong too, right? Like, and so right, like I'm like, oh, I would want to do it like that. And so in moving forward, when it comes to everyday business decisions, I'm looking to the value system that he placed within me that helps me to do that.
Oh, I like that. I like that. You know, one of the things that I think that many times our parents are afraid of doing, and two sides to the coin is failing in front of us and
Mhm.
then apologizing for getting it wrong, right?
Yeah.
So many times I have helped a client get to a better place
Yeah.
because they had to realize your parent may never apologize to you for getting it wrong, and they got it
That's
wrong
right.
long time, and they might not even realize to this day that they got it wrong. So you're waiting on this apology for this emotional thing to happen, and it's not going to happen. You're going to have to move past that. But I like how you were able to, like many, see it and go, "Ooh, that didn't work." It's kind of like, um, I remember we had a conversation, my sister and I had a conversation, and we both are of the same mind. When we saw someone else get in trouble, it
Mhm.
was, oh,
I'm
okay.
not doing that
Yeah, listen,
again. Uh-uh.
you don't have to pop me. You don't have to, get mad and yell at me. I picked it up. I understood. I can learn from watching. Thank you very much. Check mark. Don't do that. Right. So I love that you were able to parlay that into the positive aspect of what you needed. And I think that you are very much displaying that with your client base as well, that you are showing them the ups and the downs, and then they can absorb that how they need to and interpret that into their lives accordingly. Now, speaking of that, when someone, because there may be someone out there that says, you know what, ladies, I think I want to do something similar. Maybe it's not the same field exactly, but I've had an experience and I want to turn that into a business. I feel that I can help others with my learned experience. When you are turning pain into purpose, or you are simply taking an experience and turning that into a passion for business, what boundaries did you find that you had to be very mindful of that kept your personal life, and didn't allow too much of business to
Yeah.
take over who you were?
Yeah, I think being a therapist, that was one of the really big, right, like lines that I had. Like my dad was worked with substance abuse and domestic violence. And so with his approach, I couldn't walk in the building without nobody, everybody in the room knowing who I was. Oh, are you the youngest daughter? Right. Like, so when I became a therapist, I was like, there's a line here. Like, people be like, well, are you married? Tell me why you need to know. Right. Like, there was such a really stringent and strict line there about letting people into my personal life. And I've actually really had to adjust because I had to be really vulnerable to share this thing that was happening and the stuff that goes along with it. And so when it comes to setting some boundaries there, I think what has been really important to me, because the truth is my dad passed away literally not even a year ago quite yet, this March. And so I walked into it the week after. I was like, Lord, don't I get to rest? He was like, no, boo, you need to get to. And so I was like, being able to step into talking about what had happened without all the emotion, right? Like without the tears. And like, it has been very difficult, but practice and continuing to do it is what allows me to begin to put that into its little drawer and make sure that I'm being able to be present for the people. So setting that boundary is, I'm here for them right now versus I'm here for me right now. And so building those kind of what those little walls or little boundaries look like to help keep business business and personal life personal is knowing where my boundaries really need to lie. I don't do great with social media. I don't want to get on my Instagram and everything that I see is caregiver related. But I could talk about caregiving all day long. And so for me, in terms of intake, I've had to adjust what I'm intaking and really put on that business hat around, okay, what are we doing to support people to connect? We want to put resources in caregivers' hands now, not in 2 years, not in 6 years when a bill passes or it takes time for it to get to the people. So what are we going to do right now to get resources into people's hands for the journey they're on right now, not the journey their children will be on when it's their turn.
And that seems to be a conversation that I hear a lot about when I think about people that are trying to assist a particular people group,
Mhm.
right? And this has nothing to do with like ethnicity or gender or anything like that, but like people that are going through a something and there's a resource or a tool that they need to have. There's always the conversation of, well, we're waiting for the bill to pass. When you said that part, we're waiting for the bill to pass, or we're waiting for this resource to come in, or we're waiting for the clock to reset.
Yeah.
There's always seems to be a something that slows the process down. So anytime I can help someone get their message out there to the world and to expose that, hey, there's someone else that is in this lane with you or for you. Let's all hands try to, raise them to the top so that they can continue to help even more people. Now, last question for you. If you had to look ahead 5 years, and I know that in all that we do, and everyone who's been on the show, we all have this ability to walk within our vision, to dream big dreams, to have hopes and aspirations, despite what other people tell us may or may not be able to happen. When you look forward 5 years, is there a particular thing that you see, either for yourself or for your industry, that is really going to be a game changer?
When I think 5 years out, I I'm a person with big vision, and I know God's vision is bigger than mine. And I be like, how is that possible? Because what I see is like, and the truth is that systems will begin to be a significant part of this conversation so that people's needs can be met, that we are truly starting from the first yes. When we walk into that doctor's office and sit down with our loved one and they hear you have cancer, or you need a kidney transplant, or you need a whatever it is, from that moment that they are also handing a little pamphlet of list of resources within your community that helps set you up for the road so that you can be present for this experience. There are so many moments that I wish that I could go back and capture, but I lost them or I missed them because my brain was so wrapped up in the next thing that needed to be done. I got to be the wound care person. I got to be the nurse. I got to make sure you didn't fall down. I got to make sure you got enough protein. I got to make sure that you got to where you were supposed to go. And we had 3 appointments come to the house today. And like all of those pieces start to become overwhelming. And we need a plan, we need a system that helps us to manage all of those moments. And we don't need to hear about it when we already broke down, tired, overwhelmed, can't take in any more information. So we need to, that in 5 years, my goal is that will be a real thing happening in every community. It's a mandatory response to getting a diagnosis.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I really I hope and I pray that more people will join your voice in that. Um, Anything that can make the lives for our caregivers easier and not harder, I applaud. And, I hope that that can come to fruition as quickly as possible in as many places as possible, because our parents are only living longer. So this isn't a fluke. This isn't something that, oh, well, we need to figure out if this is just a thing for now, if this is just a phase, or is this a stage? No, this is definitely a thing. So
Yeah,
we
this is a part of life.
yeah, yeah, this is a staple now. So we really do need to do all that we can to make sure that the end of life, that as we age as potential caregivers and as our parents age for sure, and will eventually need a caregiver, that we have it all in place. I tell you, Susan Horton, thank you so much for coming on and not only sharing a piece of your story, but sharing your passion with our viewers and listeners today. Now, if someone wants to reach out to you or if they want to join you on social, what's the best way to do that?
Yep. Um, on all socials, we are at Family of Standards. So come and rest to reset with us, get connected, follow. I do answer DMs. It may not be the same day because just like you, where depends on where my capacity is at for the day. But I will get back to you, connect, click the link in order to get connected to the different resources that we have in terms of we have a journal, we have a pocket guide, we have some different things, we have some workshops, some journaling workshops coming up. And we want to make sure that people are accessing the resources that are available. And in order to access them, you got to know about them.
Thank you again, Suzanne, for being a guest here on Passioneer Magazine, the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Passioneer Magazine, the podcast.